Why is yoga sexual?
One of the aspects of Taoist sexual yoga is that men need to learn how to regulate their ejaculations. For a lot of Westerners, that can be upsetting or disconcerting.
Taking all the fun out of it. Here we go, it's one of those shows, you know. Okay.
A lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there. People get in their own way of opportunity. They create all sorts of drama or obstacles or self-sabotage.
Today, there's more to yoga than stretching. Jonathan Blank is here to tell you about the ancient secrets of sexual yoga. He's author of Secrets of Dragon Gate. And later, TV producer and author Jacquie Jordan on Heartfelt Maketing, how the universe can be your business partner. But up first, Jonathan Blank. Great to have you here today, Jonathan.
Hi, Greg. Great to be here.
So I want you to know, I always try to read the books before the show, but I was a little bit short on time. And I know you've got a whole section here on, you know, merging, I guess, body and spirit. But I skipped right to the sex part, is what I'm trying to say. So,
okay. You can be
what can
forgiven.
I say, you know? So you have a chapter on it, but I was surprised because I hadn't, I guess I get the physical side of it, but I never really thought of yoga in quite that way before. But why is yoga sexual, or what is it?
Well, the Taoism takes a view of the person in a holistic sense. And so they try to create practices that encompass all aspects of a person's life. And that will include the food you eat and how you meditate and practices even for walking. But they also have very unique esoteric practices that come out of the shamanic traditions of ancient China that teach people how to do dream yoga so that they can practice in their sleep, and also sexual yoga.
In your sleep?
Yeah, you can practice
You can do yoga in your sleep?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you do yoga in your sleep?
Well, you train a series of practices that enable you to become conscious in your dream state.
So is this like Inception? I was knocking that movie saying I didn't think it was realistic. Are you telling me we could do something like Inception here?
Absolutely. You can do something, I don't know if you could steal someone's corporate plans for world domination, but you can certainly learn how to become conscious in your dreams and then use your dreams for spiritual advancement and also to enhance your daily life.
Okay, and I didn't mean to take us off on a tangent because of course we were just going for the more physical side when you're awake.
Right.
But,
yeah, so a very important part of many people's lives is sex. And so the Taoists take a view.
So I hear.
Yeah. That you can then use that as part of your spiritual practice and a practice to develop your energy. Taoism is very interested in developing energy. As everyone is pretty much familiar, the basic Taoist symbol is the yin-yang symbol. So the white swirl and the black swirl constantly circulating with each other. Sex represents the union of yin and yang, and so is a natural way to practice that aspect of Taoism in your daily life with your partner.
Now, so in practice then you actually have specific exercises and things that people can do while
Absolutely,
they're... Can you
yes.
give us some examples of...
Well, there are a variety of physical practices that are designed to help the man to prolong the sex act. Many people have issues with that, and even if you don't have issues, the longer you can keep it going, the more energy you can develop. So there are many different exercises that you can do, and the same exercises can be practiced by women, or most of them, but they function differently with women because they don't have the same issues. Okay. One of the aspects of Taoist sexual yoga is that men need to learn how to regulate their ejaculations. And so for a lot of Westerners, that can be upsetting or disconcerting.
Taking all the fun out of it. Here we go, it's one of those shows, you know. Okay.
So they have to develop techniques that help them keep the fun in it and to prolong the sex act. So
as you're saying, a lot of guys find it harder because, so while women can have as many orgasms as possible, the guys are supposed to control it, which is not. But the other thing you say though too is that it's important that both partners participate in practicing this, because otherwise, what you say that it's kind of, well, it takes two to tango, as they say, and
Absolutely.
what it kind of...
Well, it's a spiritual practice between two people. If only one of the two people is involved in it, it's going to greatly reduce it, just as in any kind of practice that you're doing with other people. The more enlightened and informed and participatory the practice is, the better it will be and the better the results will be.
Now, you mentioned some of the obvious physical things. For instance, boxers, as they say, are not, apparently the conventional wisdom is that you don't have sex before a boxing match, because the idea is that it drains the people physically, or however you want to phrase it. So I guess the idea is I'm trying to say, like, why? So
Okay,
women don't have to control, but guys do, because...
That's right. Women have other kinds of issues. For instance, women's energy goes down when they're having their period, because they're flushing out certain parts of their natural cycle at that time. And most women experience it that way. Men have the basic Taoist formula for alchemy, and the alchemy is a process of transforming yourself through breathing and other types of exercises into a spiritual being, and using your daily life as a vehicle for enlightenment. So the Taoist formula for alchemy is, in Chinese they call it Jing Qi Shen Dao, which Jing is your vital bodily fluid, which for men is the sperm. And in the process you turn your vital fluids into qi, which is energy. And qi can then be further refined into shen, which is spirit. And as your spirit becomes more evolved and more powerful, that in turn evolves into Tao, which is the state of union with all things. So that is the fundamental Taoist alchemical formula. At the heart of that, the first part is your vital energy, your reproductive energy. It's the energy that enables a single sperm cell and a single egg to turn into a human being, which, when you think about that process and the energy that's generated when the two unite, it's tremendous. So essentially they're leveraging that power and turning it into energy, which you use to develop yourself spiritually.
Okay, and if, because of the restraint on the guy's part, if they're wondering why they would be interested in doing this, so the theory was that, well, you say in the beginning something like it can lead to immortality, or it was supposed to strengthen your life, or even you want to...
The Taoists have always been very interested in immortality, and according to the stories, traditionally there have been people who have actually attained immortality. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I tend to doubt it, being a skeptical Westerner, but there are certainly many stories of people living into their hundreds with excellent health and vitality, and I think that's a goal that everyone can aspire to.
Just cut back on the...
Just learn how to use your energy and to focus your energy in a more productive way.
We'll be right back. And we are back with Jonathan Blank. He's author of Secrets of Dragon Gate. Okay, well, I guess it gets worse for the guys, because not only are they supposed to, I guess, control when they're with someone else, but also by themselves. They should not be doing too much.
That's absolutely true, yes. Yeah, masturbation is something that's best left to teenagers, according to...
In fact, they even have, based on your decade of life, they have limits for...
Well, many different teachers over the millennia have come up with different suggestions. But really, the point of Taoism is that everybody is different. And so everybody has to come up with what feels right and good for themselves. There is no one-size-fits-all formula. Some people are healthier and stronger, and they are able to do more, and that's just the way it is. So people can experiment, they try different things, they try the different techniques, and they see what feels good, and their body will give them the feedback that tells them the best path for them to follow.
Okay. And you do talk about some of the specific techniques that people can use to strengthen their self-control or willpower or whatever along the way. But what is priming the pump is one of the phrases in the book. What is priming the pump?
That is a process where during the sex act you engage in a variety of actual physical techniques to prolong the sex act and to raise the energy level. And it has to do with controlling the points at the perineum and at the urogenital canal. And there are 3 points at the bottom of the body which correlate to the bottom chakra in the 7 chakra system, which the Taoists share with the Indian yogi Hindu tradition as well, and many other Buddhists have it also. And at the bottom is where your sexual energy resides. And so you do a variety of techniques to learn how to harness that energy and to control it. And by priming the pump, what you're doing is actually developing the energy. But just to let you know, it is possible to have an orgasm without ejaculating. And if you do these practices...
You mean for the guys?
For the guy. And so they can have the experience of... It is not identical to a physical ejaculation, but it is definitely very powerful and very enjoyable. And I think that for most men, they would find it equally fulfilling.
I guess I hadn't heard of that. And but also the idea is that, but you know, that you actually can enjoy sex, and that it doesn't just have to be about
absolutely,
you know, the ejaculation.
Absolutely.
And
the whole process should be highly pleasurable. And what happens is you are, from the man's perspective, you're pleasuring the woman more, and that should be more pleasurable as well.
Okay. And then you talk about that actually at the moment when you're both together, that there are some physical techniques for, you call it, well, you say uniting at orgasm, but what are there specific physical things that you're supposed to do?
There are a number of different practices relating to breathing, but generally what you would want to do is hold each other tightly and keep as much skin contact with your partner as possible, because the energy is radiating between your two bodies. But put your heads to the side of each other so that you're each breathing fresh air and not each other's carbon dioxide.
Yeah, that's actually what kind of struck me about that.
Yeah,
so you're supposed to have
the root
fresh
practice
air.
in all Taoism is breathing. If you go for 2-3 minutes without breathing, most people die. And so you have to breathe. And breathing is the core practice to develop your energy, and Taoism is all about developing energy. So as part of the sex act, you can incorporate all of the breathing exercises that are also taught in this book and use them while you're having sex, and the energy development is really startling. I think if someone did the techniques in this book, within a month they would notice a significant change in their energy level.
Well, since you mentioned, you know, breathing to stay alive and not die, it reminds me of a news report that I just read recently that for people who have heart attacks, one of the main there are things like, you know, after strenuous physical exercise and maybe eating a lot, but during sex or after sex is one of them. So maybe this could help prevent a heart attack.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I think a lot of that is related to the use of Viagra and other drugs that are changing the blood flow in the body, and they're routing the blood from where it should be, and it's causing many heart attacks. So if you can find ways to make your plumbing work without drugs, you could avoid that risk altogether.
So this is the
natural Viagra?
Yeah, natural Viagra.
Exactly.
There you have it.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
And you also mention eye gazing as a technique.
Yes. The eyes are the window to the soul, and there are many different Taoist practices that involve using your gaze. And one thing that you can do with your partner is engage in eye gazing. So you would sit close to them, and
that's even before, I mean, you're just like sitting in a room and
yeah,
you're just...
it's a kind of foreplay. Oh. And you can correlate your breathing, do the Taoist type breathing, which is outlined in the book, and sit and gaze at each other's eyes. And typically, you can do this as part of a sexual practice or just as something you want to do with your partner on a daily basis. And people have really profound experiences doing it. So I would highly recommend giving it a shot.
And so then the idea is, though, that's, well, as you said, it's foreplay then that leads to to something. But so how long are you supposed to sit and gaze, or is it just kind of what feels right in the moment?
It is, again, what feels right. I would say do it for at least 3 minutes, but you can do it for longer. I know some people do it for 20, 30 minutes. And the experiences they're having are so enjoyable to them that the time seems to pass almost instantaneously. But what I would advise is start slow, set some kind of timer that has a pleasant muted chime, not some horrible alarm, and start off for 1 minute and see how it goes. And if that goes well, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, then work your way up to 3 minutes. And that would be my general advice with any kind of spiritual practice, and especially the Taoist practices outlined in the book. Start slowly, do a small amount, and work your way up step by step.
Work your way up, okay. Well, in our final few seconds, is there anything else along that line that you want to?
Well, I'd really advise people to check out Taoism. I think it's a great spiritual philosophy. It is not in any way related to some kind of religious belief system. It's open to everybody. It doesn't discriminate, and it has all these different practices that you can incorporate into every aspect of your life. So if you want to use it for sex, if you want to use it for your dreams, if you want to use it for your health, if you want to use it to help you organize your life, feng shui, which people are very familiar with, is another Taoist practice.
We actually just did a show on that. I'm going to work on the inception part. I'm going to learn how to do yoga in my sleep. We'll have you back.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Jonathan
you, Greg.
Blank. The book is
Real
Secrets
pleasure.
of Dragon Gate. We'll be right back. And we are back. Joining me now is Jacquie Jordan, TV producer and author of Heartfelt Maketing, Allowing the Universe to Be Your Business Partner. Welcome back for the millionth time, Jacquie.
Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, I love the fact that I followed the sexual yoga guide.
Were you listening with both ears?
What could be more perfect, moving from sexual yoga to heartfelt marketing?
Oh,
right?
Okay. I thought you were going to say sexual marketing. Now that gives me a whole different.
It's a whole different show altogether.
Well, what is heartfelt marketing as opposed to?
Well, heartfelt marketing, you know, my last book was Get on TV, and you were kind enough to have me on your show. And what, you know, heartfelt marketing for me became about is there's this whole idea that we are integrated with, that sales is like the dirty car salesman. That sales is dirty, that, you know, you're being, you know,
I hate sales, you know?
But that's exactly it. Everybody hates it. You know, you feel like a vacuum cleaner person or a, you know, a used car salesman is like how it is. But the truth is that everybody, including yourself and everybody that you have on your show, has, you know, these divine gifts that they're meant to bring out to the world, and they have to, you know, market it. Otherwise, nobody's going to know about it. Sure. You know, when I deal with anybody, you know, they've got a great manuscript or a book or a show idea or a product line. You know, well, if it's underneath your bed or hidden, you know, on your, you know, in a file on your computer, and nobody knows about it, then you're not doing anybody any good. And so through heartfelt marketing, it's kind of reframing that whole idea that selling or marketing is dirty, or it's like, you know, it's creepy or it's slimy, because it doesn't have to be. You know, and I think a lot of people are afraid to go forward, and we see this at TV Guestbert and Jacquie Jordan Inc. and through our publishing company, that a lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there.
Sure.
You know, so what they do is they, you know, they create, sometimes I say that they get in their own way. We talked about this one other time before, but people get in their own way of opportunity. They create all sorts of drama or obstacles or self-sabotage. Sure. And I kept thinking, like, you know, is this like just the human nature of it? Is this just the human condition?
Well, I've heard about actors who, let's say, miss the audition or don't go, but I've heard some examples. But you give a great example in your book. You say that you had people booked on shows, and there were, what, 4 people got into accidents on the way to the studio, and you're thinking, come on, that's too much of a, that's a big coincidence. You know?
Exactly. Literally, that's no accident.
Well, and that's why even with booking this show, I mean, you can just tell the difference, you know, in sometimes when it's for real or not, or when people, like you said, when there's always drama or something keeps, you know, like one person who wanted to be on the show, but then every time something came up, and so finally, I'm just thinking, well, I think even you had, well, like a 2 strikes and you're out kind of policy, because, you know, some people always have accidents on the way to the studio.
Exactly, so. Exactly. And I really, you know, what our company does is we aggregate opportunities. So if we understand what someone's vision is and what they want to put out into the world, then we, you know, we pull in different, you know, resources and relationships to create opportunity. And so, you know, I'd hear of someone's desire, I'd go out and create the opportunity, and then sometimes I would be left, you know, holding the bucket because they, like you said, didn't show up, and all sorts of excuses, and from very smart, accomplished people. Especially, you know, what we're doing, you know, we work with experts primarily. You don't become an expert, you know, you have to have a body of work and experience in order to step into that place. So I was like, gosh, what is this about? You know, and things that I got to witness, it's the fear of exposure, the fear of criticism, fear of it being taken away, all different sort of underlying, you know, fears of it. Also, the way our company is set up, that we get to a lot of people in transition. You know, there are people who've done a body of work in their career, but now they want to bring it up and out into the world, which is where the TV producing background comes in. And what we get to see with that is that, you know, the hesitation, you know, like, I want it, but don't really give it to me, you know?
And I find it fascinating, you know, maybe as someone, because there's an independent production when we're working on the show, or, you know, growing it and getting it out there and that, but people really, and again, I think back to the acting example, but people really can be scared of success. You know, I mean, you think like people want it, they're working for it, but yet the people who will almost have it handed to it, and then back away or
create
lose
drama,
the opportunity.
or go into, you know, I talk about the anger blame game. It's, you know, not a new theory. I'm sure it's in every psychology book, but it was very interesting to look at it from a marketing sales book, from a perspective of business, how, you know, people get, you know, into the fear place, like, oh my God, like, and they get into this like blame, you know, this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right, you know, when you're really trying to get above that to, you know, move into another place.
Well, and what I think is interesting too, without going off on too much of a tangent, but, you know, since the whole Charlie Sheen thing has been in the news, there's even though the case where people, you know, not only, let's say, want it or sabotage, but even when they get there, then sometimes they almost seem to do the most they can to damage their own.
Well, that's exactly, I mean, that's to me is a brilliant example of it. I mean, he's top of his game for life, you know, can write his ticket, and that's very dramatic. What's what I
yeah, I mean, you know, because if it's fired about the show, like having the kids take it away and everything else. And,
anger, blame, intensity, drama, all of those, you know, all of those self-sabotaging things. And you know, how many other actors out there would love that?
Right, would kill for that practically.
That role,
and,
yeah.
But I think it comes back to, you know, you also do talk about the fact that, well, you know, there is more to life than just the money and the success, but yet, of course, that's something that we all strive for. But yet, you know, maybe they're missing the other balance along the way, because sometimes it's not. Well, you know what? I wanted to ask him at one point, or people in that situation. I would just say, you know, did you enjoy it? You know, did you ever have fun on this set or doing the show?
Joy is a really important
because maybe
part of
even
it.
He or some of the people don't
enjoy
what they're doing.
I believe
maybe they're doing
that.
the wrong thing.
Well, I think that's the other. I think that's the other misalignment of the definition of what success is. You know, and we talk about that in here. Is that, you know, success, you know, as a cultural perception, which we're kind of in a cultural crisis right now about money and success. But we think that success is about status, money, you know, and if it's not feeding the heart, then
it could be a good way to end up in AA, which is what I always hear about, you know, attorneys who went to law school because mommy and daddy wanted an attorney.
Yeah, and I think that's what, I think that a lot of people are being called to that space of, like, you know, what fulfills me as a person, what fulfills me, you know, why are we here anyway? You know, but what fulfills me, how can I bring my creative talents out, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because, you know, when you get into it, there's nothing worse than being in a grind.
Sure.
You know, there's nothing worse than the doldrums of being in the grind of the day-to-day living, you know, the busyness of living.
Well, when I heard your title, or your subtitle, Allowing the Universe to be Your Business Partner, the thing that comes to mind, I don't know, I'm assuming it's not accidental, but, you know, The Secret, because that's been getting so much publicity. So was that, I mean, are you influenced or motivated by that a bit?
You know, first off, I wanted to use the title, Get Out of Your Own Way, but it's been taken. But, you know, if you get out of your own way, what are you getting out of your way for? And I think that, you know, as a producer, we're always working on deadlines. But sometimes the creative process is, you know, as I've experienced, it also needs to be an allowance line. You know, you have to allow the process to unfold. You have to show up for it. You have to do it, but you have to allow it to unfold. And at some point, you know, so I think that's what I was, you know, I wasn't making, you can make the whole big spiritual, big piece, but what I really was just saying is, like, if we want to get out of our way, we need to allow. We need to allow that piece in, and and sometimes when we do the creative process, it's tough when you're a creative person and then you've got a contractual agreement or a financial deadline. There's got to be a balance. You have to be responsible. You have to show up for it, but you also have to allow an unfolding to happen.
Well, I'm sorry, we're almost out of time, but I do want to say too, of course, you kind of touch on the fact that the whole country's been doing soul searching after the economic crisis, and you just kind of feel that in the book, about.
Thank you. So. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you read it and that you know it so well, and you allow me the space to have this vehicle to talk about it.
Always a pleasure to have you
back,
Jacquie Jordan. The book is Heartfelt Marketing: Allowing the Universe to Be Your Business Partner. I'd also like to thank Jonathan Blank, Secrets of Dragon Gate, Sexual Yoga. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.